everyone, I'm Dan Philgreen, and this is Shell Point Today for Monday, July 14th. On today's show, we'll get a golf tip about the sand wedge from golf pro Gary Keating out at the Shell Point Golf Course. We'll also see a pictorial update on the various construction projects going on around the Shell Point property. And we'll have a look at one of the collections of Bob Southern, our Director of Project Development. But first, we want to remind you about a couple of things that you may want to know about. The mobile mammography bus will be here today from 8 until 5 p.m. You can make an appointment by calling 936-2316, but walk-ins are also welcome. And tomorrow is the day for the private shopping tour. Shell Point residents are invited to enjoy an exclusive shopping experience at the bright and beautiful world of Chico's, a whole hour before the store opens to the general public. During this fun and fashionable event, all participants will be given an additional 10% discount on their purchases. Outfit coordinators will be on hand to help you put together an ensemble you will be sure to enjoy for a long time. Lunch will be at Bistro 41, or you can arrange to eat elsewhere. Bistro 41 has lunch selections typically priced from $8 to $20. Cord pickups start at 8:15 for the Island, 8:25 for the Woodlands, and 8:35 for Eagles Preserve. And finally, if you use any of the facilities in the Island Tunnel, you may be aware that over the last weekend, a crew is painting the walls, doors, and pillars down there. Please be aware that this coming weekend, July 18, 19, and 20, the floors will be painted. This project will close down access to the tunnel, but you will still be able to get to some of the rooms. The Island Health Club and the east door of the wood shop will be accessible from the east side of the tunnel only. The pottery studio, the computer lab, the computer center, and the stained glass room will have access from the back stairs. The stairs are located behind finance. Now the train room, art studio, UPS room, and the tarpon room will all be closed. Again, these closures in the Island Tunnel are for this coming weekend, Friday through Sunday, while the floors are being painted. So instead of going down to the tunnel, maybe you'll be heading out to the golf course. Even the best golfers occasionally end up in a sand trap. And that's when this tip from our golf pro, Gary Keating, will come in handy. He's here today to tell us about that specialized club, the sand wedge.
Hi, my name is Gary Keating, the golf professional at Shell Point Golf Club. You notice we're on the driving range today. The driving range is open for everybody. You can come out and use the driving range at your leisure. If you don't think you're a really good golfer, you can fine-tune your skills here. On staff, we have 3 teaching golf professionals. We have a great driving range. Behind me, you'll notice there's a bunker, chipping green. To the other side of the pro shop, we have what we call a putting green, where you can go home and fine-tune your skills on the putting surface. Well, let's talk about this wedge for a second. On my hand, I've got a 60-degree sand wedge. The 3 leading elements in the sand wedge is basically, this is what we call the leading edge. The bottom is the bounce, okay? And if I flip this club upside down, you'll understand the importance of the bounce. The bounce of the golf club is the most important but the most neglected part of this particular club. So let's look at the bounce for a second. So if I take another club, we're going to lay it underneath the golf club, and you can see that is the bounce. See the little bottom of the golf club is touching the shaft of the other golf club? That is the most important part of this golf club. Okay. By the way, does anybody know who designed the sand wedge? The sand wedge was designed by Gene Saracen, and he designed it by skipping rocks across a pond. So basically his philosophy was if he could get a sand wedge to skip in the sand and not dig in, basically he would have a perfect sand wedge. So he designed the sand wedge, and then next year he won the Masters, by the way. So the leading edge is this part right here, and the bounce is the bottom. So we actually never want to hit the golf ball with the leading edge. So let me grab a ball for a second, I'll show you. So up here we've got the golf ball. Okay, so we never want to let the golf ball or the leading edge touch the golf ball. The club face and the sweet spot basically is up here. So once we get it inside the sweet spot, and let me just point exactly where my thumb is the sweet spot of this particular golf club. It is not the leading edge. Okay, so having said that, that's where we want the golf ball to be hit. And as soon as we hit it, this wedge creates a tremendous amount of backspin, so the ball spins back, and that's where we get that golf ball stopping on the greens very quickly. Okay, let's go down and we'll go a little bit further into the wedge. The three things that I see that are negative or bad about wedge players is number one is excessive motion. Now when I talk about excessive motion, I'm talking the legs. You've got to understand, as soon as we pick a 60-degree wedge up in our hands, it's not really a power move. What we're basically looking for is to control the arms and to basically control the club head hitting the golf ball. If our legs move, the top of the shaft will move also. And that's when we'll get this club doing this at the bottom, and that's when we start the leading edge exposed. We want to basically stay as quiet as we can with the legs. And when I hit wedges, I always remain flat-footed. So we stay flat-footed and we're just basically swinging the arms. We don't need any hip turn. We don't need any shoulder turn. We're just going to make a nice, slow arm swing. Once again, we've talked the importance of where the butt of the club should be located. It should be located in the center of the belly button, 3 inches off the inside left heel. We do not want to push the handle forward. As soon as you push the handle forward, the leading edge is exposed. As soon as we expose the leading edge, that's when we start getting this ball running across the green low, and it's basically what we call a thin shot in golf. So I'm going to hit some shots for you, and what I want you to notice is how quiet my legs are. You'll see no hip turn. It's more of an arm shot. So when I do the arm shot, I'm basically controlling the speed or the energy that I need to generate to hit the golf ball a certain amount of distance. So let's see how this works for you. So once again, we're going to take a golf ball. We're going to place the golf ball 3 inches off the inside of my left heel. So my left heel is here, okay? Locate the butt of the club in the center of my belly. So we're going to take, and I always make practice swings to basically get the feel of how far or how hard I need to make a swing to generate the golf ball the distance I'm looking for. So you'll see we're going to be nice, and as you can see, butt of the club's located. We're going to pull it back. We're going to push it through. So once again, I'm going to do a good shot and I'll do a bad shot. And I want you to notice the difference in how much leg motion. So let's hit a good shot. We're basically just nice and still. We're going to pull it back. And we've got a perfect wedge shot. Okay? Let's do a bad shot. I want you personally to notice how much I move over the golf ball when I hit it bad. So once again, pay special attention to the legs. And as you can see, that golf ball's getting away from us. It's going to run over the green, maybe into the bunker, maybe in some water. Okay? So once again, to cure these problems, I want you to remain flat-footed, especially with the right foot. Swing the arms, and you should be successful. Once again, at Shell Point, we do have 3 teachers, 3 PGA golf professionals here that can help you with these problems. Please don't hesitate to call us. You can locate us through 2 ways. The Pro Shop phone number is 433-9790, or you can locate us on the web. And you can check us out at shellpointgolf.com. Thank you, and I hope this helps you.
There's been a lot going on around the Shell Point property in the way of construction and upgrade projects. Work keeps progressing out at the estuary, with the roads now paved and the first house and the Commons building going up. And the new model on Shell Point Boulevard is under roof. The beautiful new fountain in the Administration Circle got its finishing touches and was started for the first time last week. Work is well underway to expand the irrigation pond by joining 2 smaller ponds at the Woodlands next to the dog park. And there are a few projects going on behind closed doors: the church interior renovation and the King's Crown kitchen remodel. We ran our camera around last week to show you a little bit of the action. of our big construction projects at Shell Point happen under the careful supervision of our project development director, Bob Southern. Now, Bob has been overseeing construction at Shell Point for many, many years, so he has dealt with countless details on a dizzying array of buildings and other large projects here. In his spare time, Bob enjoys collecting various types of historical items, and even has a room in his home dedicated to his collections. A while back, he took us on a little tour. One of his collections is of a long-gone bit of Americana, potato chip tins.
I guess I was born with a collector's gene. It's something that collecting things has been in my blood since I was a little kid. I don't know where it came from, but if there was more than three of something, I wanted to have all three of them. Some things interest me because of their history or because of their graphics or their looks, and mainly we're here today to talk about my old potato chip tin collection. Potato chips have been part of my family since growing up in Baltimore, and there were certain varieties up there that everybody was interested in. And I guess like the old soda bottle collection that I have, part of it is just my love of the fact that there were so many small companies around the country making things and making sodas and chips and all kinds of things that were regional. And nowadays you go into every 7-Eleven in the country and there are Lay's potato chips. I like Lay's potato chips, but you miss some of the variety and trying different kinds. And some of these companies are still hanging on, some of them are gone. It's fun to try to do the research and locate the ones that are still around. The decoration of the can, or the drawings on it, or some of the labeling, they can be beautiful pieces of work that somebody did a long time ago. I have found them at antique stores and collectible stores across the country whenever I travel. More recently, I guess like so many, you find them on eBay, and you can find a lot of them categorized, so they're easy to locate. Before, it was just hit or miss whether a store would happen to have one, and whether it was one you didn't have, and whether you could get it home or not. Some of the bigger ones were a little tough to get in the plane. So eBay probably had a lot to do with maybe doubling the size of the collection over the years. When I grew up in Baltimore, in the areas around Baltimore, Mrs. Irie's potato chips was actually made in Baltimore, and that was a big brand there, and had been made in that city for decades. But really, probably the big gun in Baltimore was Utz potato chips. It was actually made in Hanover, Pennsylvania, but it was very regional, several states in and around Pennsylvania, New Jersey, a little bit of New York and Maryland, and they were considered the best, and was actually voted the best in the country at one time back in the 80s, so yeah, that was the favorite. Some of them I like because of the graphics and because of the age, and obviously the style will tell you a little bit about the age and the materials and all to help you to date it. But they went to a lot of trouble to create designs and what they put on these things back then. But the Highland Potato Chip Company from Des Moines and Davenport, Iowa, haven't been able to find much out about them. Don't know if they're still around anymore, but obviously you can see a lot of work went into creating that design with the Highland theme. It's pretty neat. The Better Made Special, two gentlemen started a potato chip company because they felt like the country needed a better potato chip, and so they developed their chip and they marketed it. Because of the desire to have a better potato chip, Better Made Potato Chips was born. You'll notice several of them here were Mrs. Irie's, Mrs. Drinks, Mrs. Klein's. Apparently Mrs. were big into the potato chip realm back then, 20s and 30s. I think it was Mrs. Klein's actually got into the potato chip business because her husband was seriously injured in a head-on car accident, and she needed to have a way to make a living, so she knew how to do this and started making potato chips. If you read the history of some of these things and you go back in those days, the 20s and 30s, they started in a back room, they had a kettle, they started making a few chips, they could make 50 pounds in a day or something, and they started their business that way and grew and grew and grew, in the same way that the Utz company did up in Hanover. They just have gotten to be a big business, but a lot of them want to stay fairly local, so they don't try and spread the way Lay's and a few others have done. They serve a general region, and you'll see some from the eastern seaboard and some from the Midwest and some from out west. And that's kind of neat, and a lot of them have managed to stay in business after all these decades. I think the oldest one is the Highland. Not entirely certain. Like I said, I've done a little bit of research on the internet. You find some things about some of them. Some of them you find little or nothing. So it's a little hard to tell with some of them. Some of those companies probably came and went maybe 50, 60, 70 years ago. But you know, it's been a long time since you've seen cans like that actually in the store. And there was a point when I was growing up that Utz and a lot of potato chips were coming in these cardboard containers, so they kind of stayed with the same pattern, but they were made out of a flimsier material, and then they'd have a bag inside of this with a little twist tie on it or something. So they were moving from heavy tin to cardboard and then to the packaging that you see nowadays. Back, you know, in those days when packaging and shipping and how you ship things was maybe not as refined as it is nowadays, they had to package a very fragile product in something that would hold up until it got where it needed to go. So, you know, nowadays you see them in these flimsy plastic bags and they get there pretty well. Back then they're in a heavy can that you almost see nothing come in nowadays. So that's kind of an interesting aspect and a little bit of our lost history too, and what it took to get a fragile product over a several state area. I like to look at some of the mottos on them, and you know, a lot of them had plenty of ego. You know, the best taste yet, and these were non-fattening. The starch has been removed. They were very worried about starch back then. A number of them will mention starch, like homemade, and guaranteed fresh, a pip of a chip. Recognized as the finest since 1899, I believe. So they all had a little theme, a little logo, a little motto that would try to catch your eye. Less starch, less fat. Even back in those days, they were worried about fat. I think probably worried more about starch than we worry about nowadays, but starch has been an issue at times. So they all are trying to carve out a little niche and make their name in the business. So they would try to appeal to people with the design of their can and obviously the product inside.
It's just about time to cover all of Monday's happenings, menus, and Village Church connections. Right after a word from David Howenstein about his radio show on TV, Listening to the Words.
Hi, this week's edition of Listening to the Words is an encore of Program 74, first aired in July of 2012. Join me in saluting the good old summertime. Enjoy nostalgic time travel on a summer evening. Then an 85th anniversary look at the Cyclone roller coaster in New York City's Coney Island. That leads into the sounds of summer in Lima, Ohio, as remembered by former Shell Point resident Duke Murray. Let's see. Oh yes, a fond and funny look at the history of Florida air conditioning by News Press columnist Dr. John Agnew. The Moon's Effect on Stress by Janice Winchester of Shell Point, and Phil Hilton of Shell Point remembers The Camper. As always, this is David Howenstein reminding you that Listening to the Words plays twice an hour every day this week on your Shell Point Channel 12.
Welcome to the Happening segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Bev Chandley, and I'm here today with Mary Franklin, and we're going to go over the activities that we offer for you here at Shell Point today. We're going to start at 8 o'clock today with the mobile mammography truck down at the Village Church. They'll be there from 8 to 5 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, we have the round robin doubles tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. Then we move to 9:15 for billiards at the Resident Activity Center. Also at 9:15, we have pottery with instruction available down in the tunnel at the Pottery Studio. And we have one more 9:15 activity. It is virtual bowling. That's in the Resident Activity Center as well. At 10:30, we have the Disciple Men's Study Group in the game room of the Woodlands. 10:45 is the time the table tennis clinic will be going on down in the Tarpon Room. A Health Connections class, Specifics in Cardio Conditioning, will be at 11:30. That's in the Health Club, and that's currently full. Here's Mary for the afternoon lineup.
Thanks, Bev. At noon, Mahjong will be played in the Sable Room at the Woodlands. And the game of Samba will be played in the Resident Activity Center at 1:15. Your other 1:15 choices are table tennis in the Tarpon Room and tone chimes meeting in the Osprey Room. 1:45 is the time for Balance and Mobility Training Level 1. It's currently closed, but those that are signed up will be meeting in the Health Club on the island. And at 2 o'clock, the Beady-Eyed Bee Club will be meeting in the Oak Room at the Woodlands. And at 3 o'clock, we have a Health Connections Pilates stretch in the Health Club, and we roll right into another Health Connection program at 3:30, but this time outside at the LifeQuest Aquatic Center, Aqua, Agility, and Conditioning. And we wrap up this Monday at 6:30 with Duplicate Bridge in the Game Room. Well, Bev and I have enjoyed our time with you. Have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Terry Coleth with your Academy information for Monday, the 14th of July. At 10 o'clock, our beautiful Science 11 class will take place in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. You can sign up right at the door. At 10:15, the Grandeur of British Painting, Session 1 of 3, will begin in the Social Center of the island, and sign-up is required. At 10:30, Appreciating Words continues in the Oak Room of the Woodlands, and they welcome everyone. At 1:15, Tips and Shortcuts for the Serious Computer User will continue in the Computer Teaching Center on the island. We have one new class tomorrow I'd like to tell you about. Professor Adrian Kerr will do the third session of 5 sessions on China. You can sign up right at the door.
Menus for Monday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is barbecue chicken with corn cakes and mixed grilled vegetables. The dinner special is Old Home Cooking Night for $9.95, and the soup of the day is split pea. In the Island Cafe for lunch, the special is a patty melt with grilled onions and chips for $7.25. The dinner special is grilled artichoke tilapia with tomato rice and mixed vegetables for $8.25, and the Palm Grill is closed on Mondays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here to talk to you about happiness today. You know, there is one fundamental motivation common to all human beings, and that is to be happy. You know, Blaise Pascal was one of the most remarkable people in all of history. He lived only 39 years in a painful existence, but as James Conner writes, you cannot walk 10 feet in the 21st century without running into something that Pascal's 39 years of the 17th century did not affect in one way or another. While Pascal's fertile mind was active in philosophical concerns as well, and he had something significant to say about happiness. He said, all men seek happiness. This is without exception. Whatever different means they employ, they all tend to this end. The cause of some going to war and of others avoiding it is the same desire in both, attended with different views. The will never takes the least step but to this object. This is the motive of every action of every man, even of those who hang themselves. You know, it's interesting that the Bible weighs in heavily on the issue of happiness as well. In biblical terms, the corresponding word is blessed. To be blessed is to be happy. Happy in a way that is not dependent on our circumstances. The first psalm addresses what it takes to be happy, or blessed. First of all, the psalmist tells us in Psalm 1 how not to be blessed, or how not to be happy. He said, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. You know, there's a downward spiral of degradation that leads one away from genuine happiness. It's a movement, as the psalmist indicates, toward greater intransigence in the direction of evil. Walks not in the counsel of the wicked, stands not in the way of sinners, sits not in the seat of scoffers. And so there is the notion of walking and standing and sitting, this increasing level of intransigence. But then the psalmist indicates how that happy person is to be characterized. His delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. And so the genuinely happy person is one who fixes the mind on God's word, finding treasures which give one's meaning and purpose in life. He continues, he is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. The one who meditates on the Word of God is one whose life becomes fruitful, and that fruitfulness is a life of great blessedness. It's a life of genuine happiness. So I would encourage all of you to be happy. That is my delight and prayer for you. And I want you to be deliriously happy. And the way to do that is by a life lived in the presence of God, informed by the Word of God. And so may you be truly blessed this summer as you pursue God and His Word.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow when Dottie Morrison and Karen Fitch will tell us about the Village Church Women's Ministry Global Outreach Meeting. We'll also learn about the COPD support group from Jack Hubbard and Dr. Bill Staples. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Monday, July 14th. I'm Dan Filgreen, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.